I'm going to top him, but I'm going to come pretty close. Because I have a surprise for all of you at the end of this presentation. Fellow Toastmasters and special guests, good evening.
Good evening.
In fact, good evening, geniuses.
Good evening.
Good evening to your yesterday, your today, and your tomorrow. Turn to your seat mate and say, good afternoon, genius.
Good afternoon, genius.
Good afternoon to your yesterday, your today, and your tomorrow.
Good afternoon to you.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Now, be aware that I've called you geniuses because I'm confident that you're going to take the experience that we're going to have here this evening and you're going to do something. You're going to do something about that experience. We're going to have an experience where we're going to be doing some sharing, but we're going to have some experiences. So you're going to experience this presentation. This is not a positive, this is not a passive presentation. This is an active presentation. So we're going to talk about relationships this afternoon. And I find it interesting that we've had previous presentations this month, and all of those presentations dealt with relationships in some form. Kevin shared with us presentations on the job. Okay. Avril shared with us about presentations mentoring folks. And she knows she's gonna kill me if I forget her name. We also had a presentation on our relationship with our environment. So we're gonna continue in that vein. And we're gonna continue in that vein within the context of this is February. This is a month where we've celebrated Valentine's Day. But it's also a month where we celebrate the contributions of people of African ancestry to this American experience. So we're going to try to weave through those three contexts. So, next slide. Relationships. So the dictionary offers us that relationship is an emotional or other connection between people. It's an emotional or some other connection between people. That's a relationship. Okay, simply that. We don't need to complicate or confuse it. Next slide. Now, we know there are different types of relationships. Obviously, there are family relationships. Okay? Sometimes we have our families and we can't get rid of them, but you know, that's our family. Okay? Friends, we can make friends, we can make decisions about friendly relationships. Sometimes we can cut people loose, and sometimes we can invite people into our circle. We also have professional relationships. Some professional involvement, whether it's on a job or some other professional association. But we're going to focus this evening on romantic relationships. And we're going to have some experiences relative to romantic relationships. So to help you, there's going to be some homework here, so I'm going to give you an opportunity. We have slides, we have copies of the presentation here. And you can take notes as you go along if you find it sufficient. Would you pass those, pass them around? Now, I guess you say, you're talking about the circles of relationships. That implies that maybe you're an expert or you're a guru on relationships. No, I am not an expert. I'm not a guru on relationships. But what I have done, I have been observing relationships. I've been listening to folks in their relationships with one another. And I've been reflecting on those relationships and sometimes my own. Some successes that I've had and some missteps that I've had. So I've been in the business of listening, observing, and reflecting. That is what I bring to this discussion. Next. Now, we mentioned earlier that this month we've celebrated Valentine's Day, and what we find ironic about it is that there was one person who decided that, hey, we ought to focus on marriage and bringing people together, and it was this person here, and he sacrificed, he suffered for it. He got killed because he was promoting relationships, promoting love. The emperor killed the brother. Okay? Now, so we also have February as Black History Month. And we know, in terms of Black History Month, there are at least 2 birthdays that we celebrate during February. George Washington.
And Ray Horner.
No, what George Washington? National celebration. George Washington, we celebrate George Washington's birthday. He was born February the 22nd, 1732. George Washington's birthday, he was born February the 22nd, 1732. Another national figure that we are well recognized who was celebrating his birthday in February, Abraham Lincoln. He freed us, allegedly. Now, Abraham Lincoln was born February the 12th, 1809. So we know about those 2 personalities, right? They're well-known. They're well-known Americans. They're American heroes. Guess what? There are some heroes of other ethnicity who were also born in February. Let me share with you another person who was born in February, and he happens to be a person of the struggle, happens to be an African American. Did you know that Frederick Douglass was born February the 14th, 1878. February 14th. Why is that date significant? That's Valentine's Day. The brother came here with love. Okay? Another person lesser celebrated within the month, but not necessarily celebrated in our experience. W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois was born on February the 23rd, 1868. February 23rd, W.E.B. Du Bois. A hero more recent to us was also born in February. This person was born on February the 4th, 1913. The sister who refused to sit in the back of the bus, Rosa Parks, was born in February. So somehow our history and the contributions that folks of African ancestry gets lost in the translation of the real history. And sometimes we have to come together and listen, make some observations, and reflect on our relationship with one another and the relationship that people of African ancestry have had to this American experience. I mentioned before that I'm not an expert on relationships and that we're going to focus on relationships. And next slide. Here's a proposition I'll offer you. Initially, this proposition was, you are who you are because of where you are. And a very reflective, bright medical student brought to my attention. She said, Mr. Dozier, that's not enough. You are who you are because of where you are and where you have been. It's not enough to say you are who you are because of where you are. It's also where you have been and the experiences that you picked up on that journey and the interpretation of those experiences and how you translate those experiences as you interact with one another. Now, this brings us to, next slide, our circles of relationships. These two circles here represent something very significant in our relationship with one another, our relationship with our immediate family, our relationship with our colleagues, and our relationship with our community. This circle here also has significance. Some of us can identify that kind of relationship. And of course, this relationship has significance, and hopefully it has significance with potential for growth. The two circles side by side, the literal translation is you do your thing and I do my thing. No, you do your thing and I'll do my thing. We are loosely coupled. We are loosely coupled. You do your thing and I'll do my thing. Sometimes we'll just stay together for the kids. This one, that's kind of like a 70-30 thing. Somebody is being dominated, somebody has submit him or herself to the other partner. That happens in work relationships. That happens also in romantic relationships. Somebody is a small circle and somebody is the looming large circle. You lose your personality and you take on my personality. How lost are you? This circle here, these circles where you have the loop, it's about you're still you, I'm still me, but there's something unique about our coming together in a relationship. Your identity is maintained, but we also have a unique characteristic of our own individual relationship. Okay? Where are you? Now, I'm going to ask Kevin, next slide. Oh, okay. So the issue is, do you have the relationship you want or the relationship you deserve? Do you have the relationship you want or the relationship you deserve? You are where you are because of who you are and where you've been. Do you have the relationship you want or the relationship you deserve? Kevin, would you share with us, next slide. Oh, we're not doing that. So, do you have the relationship you want or do you have the relationship you deserve? So you have to be clear on what it is that you want. How clear are you? Next slide. Now, our decisions about relationships come out of our values. Our values. And as the slide indicates, values are those things that really matter to each of us. The ideas and beliefs we hold as special. Most of us learn our values or morals, if we prefer, at home, at church, or at other religious institutions. Our values are learned, Okay? They learn. Now, our values are not static. We also do not have just one value. We have a value system. We have a value system. And we have a hierarchy of values, which means we value some things more than we do other things. We give higher value to certain things than we do other things. And those values or that listing changes. Depends on a number of things, because values are not static. They change. My value of what I value right now, those things are different than when I was 18. I value retirement, I value finishing this darn dissertation right now. So we got different kinds of values. Okay? So our values change with age, our values change with situations. And guess what? And this is not my saying, but a sister also shared with me that male values, our values have value, we have gender differences. Okay?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
I do not like going to the mall. You know?
Most men don't.
Right, so that's a gender thing. I like some football though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
You got it.
But there are not a lot of women that would prefer that. I ain't get together with the fellows and say watch some football, but then the women gonna get together with other women and say let's go to the mall. Okay, so we got gender differences, but we also have age differences, and therefore values are not static, they change. Okay? Next slide. You skip the slide. Go back to the slide where you have caution curves ahead. See that? Go back. Caution curves ahead.
No, it's ahead. It's ahead
No,
on
it's
our
ahead.
PowerPoint.
It's ahead?
It's ahead on the PowerPoint.
Before.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. So Kevin, give us a dramatic reading of caution curves ahead.
Thank you, Clint. I didn't even get a chance to say anything yet. Caution. Curves ahead. Impressed, yet not obsessed. Caressed, yet not undressed. Firmly held, but don't squeeze. Pampered, yet not spoiled. Provided for, yet not brought. You are a part of me, yet still you. Happy days, some sad days, sometimes we sang the blues over me and you. In the end, we are just paying the dues in search of whether or not it is really true, this thing called me and you.
Yolanda, take us on a different kind of journey. Put on the surface. What if, Yolanda?
What if the distant voice, though far, is as one's personal heartbeat? What if the distant voice is pleasant, nice? What if the distant voice responding to a similar beat? What if the distant voice turns out to be the one? Don't wake me, I want to continue to sleep.
We're going to hold right there for a minute, and we're going to make some transition to some music. And once we do that, we're going to go back to the discussion and have some fun with that activity. If you want to.
Hi. I'm Gary. Kind of put me on the spot, but that's okay. I'm kind of like used to this. So, just something easy.